Hi, my name's Edward and you're watching Rose and Crown Cookery. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to cook the perfect steak, and we're going to do this by showing how important resting is, seasoning and the heat of the pan that we need to cook it in. First of all, I'm going to take the steak and divide it into two. One part of the steak we're going to rest, and the other part of the steak we're going to cut immediately. And this will show the importance of cooking your meat and allowing it to rest for roughly the same time as you've cooked it. So we start with the steak, firstly at room temperature. If you take the steak straight out of the fridge, it changes the way that the steak cooks, and you obviously need to cook it for a lot longer because the steak's at around 1 or 2 degrees. We start by seasoning it with freshly ground salt and pepper. Do this just before cooking so that it doesn't draw too much moisture out of the meat. We then have a griddle pan on a very, very high heat, and it's been on the high heat for about 20 minutes, so it's scorching hot. You don't need any oil, and you just take the steak, place it on the grill pan, and let it cook. Quite often, people will tell you to cook a steak one side, turn it once, and cook it on the other side, take it off. The best thing to do to get the most even cooking of your steak is to turn it more regularly, so a little bit of heat goes into each side of the steak, and it gives a much more even cooking and a much more tender result. So once it's been on there for about 20 to 30 seconds, take it and turn it, and you'll see that it's starting to develop that beautiful bar mark. We're only going to cook this steak for about 2 to 3 minutes, and we'll be cooking it to roughly medium rare. Medium rare, for my mind, is the best way to eat a rump steak, which this is. Different steaks, for example fillet, you may prefer to eat blue or rare, or you may prefer it slightly more well done. But the more well done you have it, the more water you're taking out of the steak, and the tougher the end result. Again, another 20 to 30 seconds, and we're going to just turn the steak once again, pushing it down. You're looking for the steak to have a little bit of resistance, but not become firm. If it's too firm, it's going to be overcooked. The smell is absolutely incredible. If you could be here and actually smell this steak cooking. We've got beautiful bar marks on the steak now, which makes it a very attractive piece of meat. About another 10 to 15 seconds and the steak will actually be cooked to medium rare. We'll then let one steak rest, and the other steak we're going to cut into immediately to show you why it's so important to rest your steak. That's it. So we're going to rest one here, and we're going to take one off and cut into it immediately. The first steak, just off the char grill, as you will see, is grey on the outside and very, very bright pink on the middle. This is because the steak isn't rested. It's almost raw in that middle portion, and that is because this probably gives the best example of it just here. The head temperature and the heat concentrated on the outside of the steak will transfer to the middle while it's resting and finish the cooking, and the moisture that's been pushed into the middle actually has a cooling effect on the steak, and that moisture will redistribute, and once it's rested correctly for 3 to 4 minutes, you'll have a much more even blush pink colour and a perfectly tender, perfectly rested steak. So now it's just a waiting game. We have to wait for this to rest, and then we'll carve the second steak, and you'll see the beautiful result and why we have gained such a great reputation for steaks at the Rose and Crown. Right, now we have let our rump steak rest. We saw the first one that was very red, very pink in the middle and grey around the outside. This one has been resting from 3 to 4 minutes, roughly the same time that it cooked. And if we carve into the meat, we'll see a much more even blush pink colour. The heat is redistributed and finished cooking the steak to the middle. The moisture is redistributed and has given you a beautiful even colour and moisture content right the way through the steak. A few key things to add are: buy the best quality meat that you can afford. We buy beautiful aged Dedham Vale beef from a few miles away from us, and it's aged for 35 days. It is incredible. Also, we normally cook our steaks on a very, very hot lava rock char grill in the pub, but for today's demonstration we've done it on a griddle pan because I think that's much more easy to copy at home. I do hope you'll go out, buy some quality beef and cook some fine steak, but if you can't, come and see us at the Rose and Crown and have one of the best steaks you'll ever have. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Delicious.